right when I got to the police, they said, "There you go. About 10 boxes is full of tapes and crap." So I got caught up quick on it, but the whole thing, it was a great case, like all the DEA cases, wiretaps, dozens of arrests, hundreds of kilos gone, all that stuff.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. Got another great guest for you guys today, and you probably see that the screen is blacked out here. Well, that's because of some of the things that he was involved with. He's still receiving threats from. You're going to notice that his voice is altered, and we're not going to use his real name here. We're just going to call him John, like somebody that goes to a bordello. They call him John. So John is our guest today. He'll probably kick my ass once he hears me say that. But it's just the reason I wanted to bring him on here is to show you the type of operations that DEA are still involved with worldwide. And simply because we retire, that doesn't mean that the threats go away. And it requires secretive measures like this to hide his identity. Because the last thing we want to do is get anybody hurt from talking about the bravery of law enforcement here on Game of Crime. So that's what this is all about. So, but John, just briefly before we get into it, he was a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your service, brother. 7 years active duty and the remainder of his time in the Marine Corps Reserves. He's also a police officer and a trooper in Massachusetts. And I mean, you guys know what we think about troopers because when Morgan was on here, but again, John is a little bit younger than me and looks like could pick me up and carry me around if he needed to. So then he joined the Drug Enforcement Administration as a special agent. That's where he spent 22 years combating international organized crime. So I don't want to tell you a whole lot more about his career because he's going to really tell you. We're going to talk about one or two operations he was involved with. But it's a pleasure for me to welcome you to the Game of Crimes, John. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. Well, like Morgan used to say after the interview, you may never say that again. And if you're wondering, for our listeners, if you're wondering how I met John, well, you may recognize the name Zach. Rob Zaharashevitz, I think is how you say his last name. It's taken me years to get that down. And Zach, if I said it wrong, I'm sorry, brother, but that's the best I can do. If you remember Zach, we've had him on here 3 different times. He was in episode 19 back in October 2021 when we talked about Operation Relentless, which was the capture of Victor Boot, the merchant of death. I mean, what a freaking case. Unbelievable what he and the other folks were doing in that case. Then we had him back on episode 133 in February of last year in 24, or this year, I'm sorry, when he talked about Operation Cassandra, which involved the Mossad and Hezbollah. And then, if you remember, we even brought Zach for a bonus episode when our United States government decided to do a prisoner exchange and let the merchant of death go to get back a Women's National Basketball Association player who broke the law by taking CBD oil or whatever it was that she took into Russia and was arrested for it. We're not here to talk politics. That's not what this show is about. But the fact that Victor Boot is a free man now just still grates me like you just would not believe. But that's how we met. Zach has been fantastic in introducing folks to me, to letting me vet certain opportunities through him. Just going to be a lifelong friend. So, Zach, thank you very much, brother. I really, really appreciate everything you do for us. So now let's talk about John here. He's I think I just put him to sleep. I can see him on the camera, even though you guys can't. So, John, wake up here. We want to take a little stroll through your life here, if you don't mind, brother. It's if I ask you any questions that you're not comfortable answering, don't answer them. Just tell me. I know I'm an idiot. You're going to find out I'm an idiot here shortly. So you're certainly not going to hurt my feelings, but our listeners might be able to tell from your accent, you're not from the South. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the Northeast, went to high school in Connecticut and then college in Massachusetts.
Very good. And that's, have you been battling that accent or do you think I have an accent?
I don't have an accent, but everybody else does.
That's every cop I've ever met from Massachusetts says the same thing. And then I look at him and just say, boy, y'all talk funny up here. Are you a single child? Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I had 5 sisters. So.
Wow. And where do you fall in that rank? Are you oldest, youngest, in the middle?
I was cursed, yeah. It's, towards the bottom, yeah.
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 You must be very resilient. I can't imagine all that that estrogen flowing around there and trying to grow up.
Yeah, yeah. They were tough, I'll tell you, yeah.
Yeah, it's still tough today, I'll bet.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a house full of ladies. Did any of them go into a law enforcement field?
Yes.
No.
Nothing to do with law enforcement, not even my father, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get down to that because I'm curious how you got into law enforcement. But so you told us you went to college in New England. Did you play any sports in high school or college?
I played all the sports in high school. That's the only way I stayed out of trouble. My mother stuck me in every season, every sport. I stayed
Smart
out
lady.
of the streets. Even then, I managed to get in trouble a little bit. But, you know, nothing out of the ordinary, though. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. We've talked about that before here on Game of Crimes, and my old DEA partner, Javier Pena, and I talk about different things that happen in our youth. And that thin blue line, most cops might have stepped across that line a couple of times. I had my first run-in with the cops when I was 10 years old. Instead of taking us to jail, they took us home to our parents, which is the worst thing you could ever do. But you're not alone in that realm when we talk about that. We've all had that little experience, but it may have had something to do with pushing us towards the right side of the thin blue line.
That's true. Yeah.
So in college, now how many years did it take you to get a 4-year degree?
2 years, because I took classes part-time while I was in the Marines. And when I left the Marines, I went to UMass Lowell for a little while. I started off towards a civil engineering degree.
Mm-hmm.
And after about a year, I thought it wasn't for me, and I switched to criminal justice. After I got to Western New England College, I got a university now, I guess. I got my criminal justice degree. Yep.
I see the crossover there between civil engineering and criminal justice. Very closely related, right? Yeah, I tried accounting at one point, and when they made me give my calculator back, I realized, it's probably not meant for me. So, did you come out of high school and go into the Marine Corps?
I came out of high school. I even tried to lie about my age at 16, tried to get in the Marines.
Were you still in high school?
Yeah, I was still in high school. They had career day. You had all the services there. I went to all of them. I went to the Navy, the Army, Air Force, Marine Corps. The Marine guy was like 6'5", broke my arm, shaking my hand. And the thing about the Marine Corps is going back to World War II, some of my family served in World War II in the Marines. My uncle's a Vietnam Marine, so there's like a little legacy there. So I was really drawn to the Marine Corps,
What was just out of curiosity, what was the reaction of your parents when you decided to go in the Marines?
That was like the end of the world because my father's a businessman, he was, he sent my sisters to college already. He was pushing me to go to school. I was 17 when I ended up signing up for the Marines, and I needed his permission to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat there in his living room on one of, just came home from a long business trip, and he was still in his suit and everything, and sat him down in the living room and told him, "Hey, Dad, you got to sign." I hadn't even graduated yet, and it's contingent on graduating. And I could almost see tears in his eyes, but it's not the end of the world, like, either you sign now or you wait a year and I sign it, all you're doing is delaying it, so he ended up signing.
Yeah, well, and that's a father's love for his son there.
Mm.
Tough decision to make.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Can you say what year you went into the Marine Corps?
I went in 83.
83. Okay. I was trying to think what battles were going on there, because I know that you ended up in the Middle East, right?
That's right, yeah. So
how many combat tours did you do?
I did three combat tours total throughout my whole career.
And what countries were you in for those?
Over time, it was we got Desert Storm, Iraq, And we did operations around outside of Libya in 1985. Gaddafi, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when I was doing research on you, you didn't tell me this, but I saw that you received the Purple Heart Award.
Yes.
Is that something you can talk about, or prefer not to?
I prefer not to, but I'll tell you briefly. It was Fallujah. I had just gotten in country. It was 2004, right before it was between the two big battles of Fallujah. Actually, we got there. I was assigned to a unit just outside of Fallujah, southeast of it, in the area they called the Fishbowl. And we just got there, and we're doing the familiarization patrols to get a feel for the area and all that. And we got ambushed coming out of one of the small towns there, and I was wounded. We lost a guy that day, and unfortunately, a very young kid. He was slotted to rotate home that week. It was crazy. And that's what happened. I was one of the lucky ones. My biggest fear was losing limbs, which a lot of guys unfortunately did over there. That's I cannot imagine the horror with losing the limb. But so I was one of the luckier ones. I was wounded, stayed alive, and lived to talk about it. So.
Well, I said at the beginning, God bless you. And I don't say this lightly. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your patriotism, and thank you for what you did for our country and those unappreciative people over there. After I retired from DEA, I did a DOD contract for a year with another retired agent, and it was involving Iraq and some of the things that were going on there. And after doing that, just made me wonder, why are we trying to help people that don't want to be helped? But you do your duty, right? That's what you do. So you come back from, you do your time in the Marine Corps, you come out, go on reserve status, and what's your next step in life?
So, my next, I came out of Desert Storm, actually. I was flat broke and had just met my current wife, and she was heavy into going to school, succeeding in life and stuff like that. She had a very positive impact on me. Any Marine will tell you, you come out of combat arms in the Marine Corps, there's no career for you. They teach you how to kill, and then you come out, or fix bayonets, take a hill. But there's no hill to take. There's no bayonets to fix. There's no. It was a different world back then. Now you have contracting and all that stuff. That wasn't there. There was some mercenary work. I knew some of the guys that used to go into the mercenary world and work down in South America and stuff. But that wasn't my realm. You know what I mean? I could have easily done it, maybe in Africa or something. But it's just, why do that if you can stay in the military at that point,
True.
But, coming out of the Marines, she had a positive impact on me. I got some, stupid jobs like construction and stuff. I shouldn't say stupid. I learned a lot. I learned a lot in those, as a laborer and things like that while I went to school, but I wasn't making ends meet. And then at one point, one of my friends from the Marines, it's a whole family, actually, all former servicemen, and two of the brothers served with me at different times in the Marine Corps, so we were very close. And they were all cops now in Revere, Massachusetts. So one day I was at their house, hey, here's an application. You should take the test. And I was like, iffy about it, because I just gotten another freaking $250 speeding ticket, I was like,
another?
Yeah, another freaking, because my family was in, my parents were in Connecticut. I was living in Massachusetts. So just going up and down 95 or, down 81 there, the troopers will always nail you, you know what I mean? So yeah, I wasn't very happy about the whole thing, going to court, all that stuff, trying to clear the ticket or reduce it or whatever. It was just such a pain. So, but I ended up taking the test. I did very well, and having been a combat veteran at that point from the Desert Storm time, it put me 2 points ahead of everybody. So I was in the top like 30 applying. So they did the interviews. They picked me. The main question was, do you play hockey? I was getting on an Irish Italian police department. About 130 cops on there, and they all, they all know each other. It's just like a very tough situation, getting in there. I'm outside, but I had to get 10 letters of recommendations from Marines, from cops, from everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. But I got in. They took me in, and they said they'll give me a shot. Went to the academy, and I loved it. It was just like the best thing in the world. But it also my past, my little troubles that I was having with the police taught me to be very, very discretional, and I saw the world a little bit in a different light. You know what I mean? Gave a ton of breaks where I thought were deserved. You know what I mean? You had to be a real punk to freaking get locked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's back when law enforcement had the term called discretion to decide what was going to happen.
Oh, you can't do that now, but yeah, like that.
No.
But going back to my high school days, one of the things that opened up my eyes was, we skipped to class one time. The full football team did. We went under the bridge. It was raining in Connecticut, and we went to Hartford, picked up some beers. We were all underage. We bought beer at a package store, where they sell to kids.
Mm-hmm.
Went under a bridge, and we were all drinking in the car, and I was driving my mother's car. And all of a sudden, I do the windshield wipers, and there's a blue lights right in front of me, right facing me. The cop comes out, old timer. He gets me out of the car. He's like, "What are you boys doing?" I'm like, "We're just having a beer."
Well, at least you're honest.
But he saw it. I mean, he saw the beers. We were trying to hide them and all that. It wasn't like we're getting drunk. We're just having a sick factor or whatever. Still, yeah. I mean, nowadays, forget it. That would never happen. But I'm in the back of the car. He goes, "Well, I'm gonna take you to your parents. Or do they know you're out here? You skipping school? All this." I said, no. I said, "Let's see your driver's license." I'm pulling out my driver's license, and I had the Marine Corps Poolie card. Before you go in the Marines, they give you a prospective Marine. And I was so proud of it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna become a Marine eventually if I make it through. So he saw that. He goes, "What's this?" I said, "Oh, I'm trying to join the Marines. I'm slotted for a spot in boot camp this summer." He goes, "Oh, I was a Vietnam Marine." He goes, "If you dump all the beers right now, I'm not gonna tell your mother, but take this as a warning. The next time you go in there, freaking dumping all the beers." So yeah, that was a big eye opener for me. That was a big lesson, and I did that throughout my whole career as a cop. Not my career, I should say, but the few years I was a cop and a trooper. You could see like you could ruin a kid's life in a second.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely,
you gotta use your head sometimes.
And that word discretion translates to common sense, everybody. So even when I was a uniform cop back in the 70s, you did not have quotas. You went out and you just enforced the law, but you pull somebody over for speeding or whatever traffic violation, you had the discretion. And a lot of, like you said, had to do with their demeanor and their attitude when you approached the car and spoke with them, and respect went a long way. But they challenge you right off the bat, chances are they're going to lose because you're going to have them sign that piece of paper, and it doesn't cost you anything. It costs them. But so how long were you with Revere Police Department?
Yeah. So I was about 4.5 years, almost 5.
And then what made you decide to become a Massachusetts State Trooper?
Well, I got my degree at as a cop. They encourage you to get the degree because you get a raise. They had the Quinn bill going on during that time. You get like 15% for an associate's degree, 20% for the bachelor's, and 25% for a master's degree. Yeah. So that was very encouraging at that point. So, and they gave us time to go during the shift sometimes to go to college. So I did that. I got my degree very fast. And then once I got it, it opened up a lot of new doors. Not that you needed one for the state police, but it made you more competitive. The Mass State Police is extremely competitive to get in. You got to have it a lot more than the guy next to you to get in there. Like to give you an example, it's 1,000 people apply for every class that opens up, and just less than 200 make it, and then about 160, 150 graduate. So every class is very tight, circle, small. So I had the veteran preference, of course, and then when I took the test, I scored high on that one too, on that test, I think a 98. And then I had a 2-point veteran preference, so put me at 100. But even with my 100, there were people that were veterans that got 100 that had the 102 points. So I still was like in the 30 down on the list. So I wasn't really sweating it yet, but I made it in the state police. What made me get in was one of my buddies, former Marine, who helped me get on the PD, or not helped me, but directed me to get on the police department, encouraged me to. He was looking at going on the state police, because in the cities there's a lot of politics that play in and all that, but I wasn't looking to move up in rank anyways in the police department. But at the same time, it was it's a better job, better paid, better a lot of things, the state police. So I just, when I took the test and I passed, I said, why not? I threw my application in and got my interview and got hired, so, and I loved it, But at the same time I was doing that, the same guys were looking at DEA. So DEA was always in the back of my mind, even as a young Marine. I used to, some of my friends left the Marine Corps and went into DEA, and we stayed in touch by letters and stuff like that. And some of them ended up down in Bolivia and Peru doing SNOCAP, Operation SNOCAP and all that. Mm-hmm. And they would send us, photos and brag stories and stuff like that. So DEA was always in the back of my mind, like, oh, this looks like fun, this is what I want to do. And actually, after my first 4 years, before I went re-up, so, I did call DEA. I didn't have a college degree. I said, no, I want to go into that land lab enforcement team that you guys have. I want to go into clandestine service. I want to do this. Like, we don't have clandestine service. Get the hell out of here, So,
That's the CIA.
Yeah, the CIA, exactly. Yeah. So they said, get your degree and call us back. That stuck in my mind. So later on, when I got my degree, I applied DEA, FBI, CIA, Mass State Police. Mass State Police took me immediately. I had to go through another academy, So that's 6 months of torture, 6 months of living academy. You only have the weekends to go home versus the police academy, you go home every night. And the state police was no different from the Marine Corps. They shave your head. You're constantly on your guard. You're like almost like a what do you call it? You got the big boots, the freaking Nazi uniform almost, and
paramilitary.
Very, very, very paramilitary. And then they issue you M1s, and you do rifle drills, and they teach you how to freaking attack a hill and kill people and all. No, I'm just going a little too far, but just about. I mean, PT, every ridiculous PT, and survival stuff. We did, things in the woods and all that crap. But for the state police, so it didn't really. I was still in that Marine Corps mindset, and I was still in the Marines at the time, so it didn't bother me. I loved it, actually. And then you get out there and you got to interact with people. It's like your mindset is like, you know what I mean?
Attack the hill, kill somebody.
Yeah. Like there's nobody to kill.
That's and for our listeners, and I think most people know this, but there's a designation between a state that has a state police agency and a state that has a highway patrol. So I'm in Florida, and we have the Florida Highway Patrol. They enforce traffic laws basically and work accidents, and then they're also there they'll back you up in heartbeat. So I'm not cutting them down at all, but a state police also has investigative responsibilities. So I'm guessing you guys had like a criminal investigative division or something like that.
Oh yeah. It's like it's its own organization. And Mass State Police is over 3,000 strong. It's extremely well developed, very sophisticated technology, the whole 9 yards. Very, very efficient. Like nobody leaves a Mass State Police, especially with the phenomenal pay and everything else that you do.
Well, it's interesting you say they have 3,000 troopers just for Massachusetts, because if you, and you know this, I mean, DEA, if we ever had a full complement, it would have been 4,500 agents. I think it's the biggest table of organization we ever had for sworn law enforcement. But typically, I think it was more like between 3,900 and 4,200. But here you got 3,000 troopers just for the state of Massachusetts. That's pretty impressive, quite honestly. That's a lot of law enforcement protection going on there. And what you just told me, I mean, my respect for the Mass State Police now has grown considerably here.
I mean, it's an outstanding organization. And so I was a trooper 1 year, 6 months in the academy, and then I got kicked out to the 3 months of break-in with the FTOs, and then I was on my own. When I was on my own, they shifted me from I was an A troop initially out east. That's like you have to have seniority to be out east, but I started there. So, and then I was in Central Mass for like 4 months when DEA started calling me. So, because I was going through.
What were your responsibilities?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. What were your responsibilities as a trooper up until you left?
I was a patrol officer. So on the police department in Revere, I was on patrol for a couple of years. Then I was on the gang unit, which is a uniform gang unit. We had like 40-some gangs in Revere at the time. It was just crazy shootouts every night and all that crap. So it was a lot of fun. Then the fourth year, I was on narcotics, but nothing like DEA. And as a matter of fact, I'll go back to that in a little while. There was some funny things we did with DEA, actually, or on the police department.
Well, let's just talk about that now. That sounds like a whole lot better. So tell us some stories.
You know DEA very well, obviously. You know, Boston always had that reputation of retiring over there, but dinosaurs go there. People never want to leave anymore. You know, they go there.
True.
Right? They're like alligators.
Oh, yeah.
Sit there. And the problem with that is they don't want to, they work differently. You know what I mean? It's like, you're out there on the city drug unit, you're freaking hopping. You're making a lot of arrests every night. Narcotics arrests. We had a lot of the Dominican organization up there, you know, they're pushing heroin like crazy. You had the African-American gangs. You had the Cambodian and Vietnamese gangs and all that stuff going on. And they're pushing crack and coke and all that. Small amounts, like nothing amounts, but so we would call when we would come up on something interesting like a Colombian or something like that. Now it's outside of our realm. Our buy money is like $100. You know, you don't have buy money to buy cocaine or anything like that, or buy bust it, or do the 2-3 buys and then take it down. So we call DEA or the state police. DEA, they were fairly responsive, but they were, if something interested them at the time, they would come out, and they would come out with a big bag of money, so you could buy a kilo or 2 kilos or whatever. But it was rare, so they would. So we, when I was a cop, because I mean, I was a DEA agent for 22 years, but the DEA for us stood for don't even ask. Because
Look at that.
How it is. Well, I haven't been a cop now. I mean, and then a DEA agent. Now I understand that they have 20 different cases going on at the same time at DEA, and they're all a lot bigger than that freaking tiny little by walk they did in Revere. So they don't pursue it. It takes a month for them to return a call. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just takes forever. But I understandably, you know, that's how it is. And so the state police was a lot more responsive. The narcotics unit was pretty much working in Revere every freaking night. You know, they had one squad always there. You know, it was just so busy. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's a great introduction. It gives you an idea of what DEA does, because it's don't expect anything or don't even ask. And then, of course, a lot of people say drunk every afternoon, but you shouldn't say that unless you've worn those letters, and then you can say it, okay?
Exactly.
So now I'm just guessing that when you left the Mass State Police to go to DEA, I mean, I bet they were dogging you out, weren't you? A year on the job, and you're giving up a very valued position. So, what was the response from Mass State Police when you went to DEA, especially a Fed?
Yeah, it wasn't good. They suggested I do leave without pay while I go to the academy and all that, in case I change my mind. And they put everything, my gun, all that stuff, badge, all on hold in a holding pattern.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, they were awesome. Yeah, they let me max it out, and it was a tough decision. I started off in the state police making so much more money than junior agents. That was another thing. They wanted to bring me in as a GS7, and where I was arguing with DEA. I'm like, I'm not going to take that job as a 7. I will take it as a 9, because that was the two options at the time. Said I have a degree. I got my degree. I'm two courses shy of a freaking master's degree, and I got police experience, Marine Corps. I'm not going in starting that low. You guys are gonna kill me, because I already had a house. I'm married. I got all that stuff going on too. Some of the guys coming from more from the Midwest in DEA can afford that. I'm in Massachusetts. I'm Massachusetts. So,
yeah,
paying saying out the yin yang. So it was a tough decision. But when the DEA came knocking, they said, "Hey, we have a class opening," and I'm like, I got to think about it. And then, when I told my superiors in the state police, they were like, "We would hate losing you, but you do what's best for you,
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's what it was. I mean, I was getting yelled at in the state police. I was a little aggressive, coming out on the road, but aggressive in a good way. Not a ticket Nazi. Of course, I wrote tickets, but to people like I hunted down all the heroin coming out of Lowell, Mass. In the morning. I'd have a night shift, right?
Right.
I would sit outside of Lowell and watch for those delivery cars coming out. And you come over, and sure enough, I would seize heroin, arrest people, and all that. That was pretty aggressive in that manner. Got in car chases. The car chases was, to me, back then was so much fun. And then towards the end of my career that was a no-no. You can't do that. But not during my time as a cop and state trooper. But you were asking me earlier about just leaving the state police. But when I was leaving the state police, and DEA was calling, FBI called too, and CIA called too. So the CIA called me to tell me that they're looking for Mandarin Chinese speakers. So we're not interested in you right now. Because it was the time that the Chinese forced that P-3, the spy plane, down to land in China. If you recall that little incident, it was exactly during that time. Yep. So I said, okay. And then I went, the FBI contacted me to let me know they're full right now. They don't need any applicants. Thanks for applying. And then DEA said, we have an opening next class. So that's where I jumped in. And then so DEA's always been my things.
Yeah. How much advance notice did you get from DEA before your class started?
Oh, I got, it was a long time. It was like 18 months. I was already in the state police where they started my background and all that. They were actually doing my background during the state police time.
But when you got that phone call saying, "Hey, we've got an opening, can you report to the next class?" What was the time frame there?
That was like in a month or so. Not even.
Yeah. When I got my phone call, it was, "We've got a class starting next week. Can you be here?"
Yeah.
And I was.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Yeah.
I know it's something's wrong with us up here, that we're willing to give up good careers and to go do crazy things, but no regrets, right? It's so what year did you report to DEA? Did you go to the academy?
2000, early 2000. So it was 98, but 99, but really I just reported it to academy in 2000. I was supposed to be in the previous class, but I pushed it off on class. So.
So when you were in the DEA Academy, and a lot of our listeners are familiar with this, that, when we do things that they might not be the DEA way, you have to write a memo. It's like a slap on the hands. Do you ever have to write any memos in the academy?
No, I had a lot of memos, yeah. for sure.
Any funny ones?
That stuff I used to brush it off like crazy. Yeah, it was stupid stuff. I mean, like you said, like the bed wasn't correctly freaking, made too from memos, right? That's the state police too, like crazy.
Yeah.
But it was more to teach you how to write than to punish you, right? Yeah.
Right.
So
That's exactly right. Teach you the DEA way. So it was. I may have had to write a couple of those back then, and those are memories best forgotten.
yeah, oh yeah. It was nothing like no safety violations or anything stupid like that on the range. Like some guy had to do. Yeah.
Did you know where you were going to be posted before you went in the academy, DE Academy, or did you put in your wish list while you're in the academy?
Yeah, we had to put in a wish list during the academy. My my recruiter or the agent that recruited me, phenomenal agent up in Boston. He was out of Boston. He just retired himself, and he told me, if you want to learn DEA, you put in for Miami, New York, or LA. That's the three hubs where you're going to learn the job inside out. That's the three intake points, for narcotics. So of course I put in. I wanted to stay on the East Coast, and I didn't want New York. There's like 10 people put in for freaking New York for 8 spots, and I didn't want to fight with them. And I put in for Miami, and Miami had a lot of people, but I ended up getting it, and it was by merit at that point. Did better in the academy.
Yeah, that was my first post as DEA coming out of the academy. I went through in '87, and got to Miami in '87. It was still the Wild West back then.
It wasn't far from the Wild West when we were there either. But I know it was like decades after you, but yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I still love Miami. It's my wife and I live in Orlando now, but I've done some filming and TV stuff down in Miami, and it's like going home when you go back down there. Completely different. So, what? Just out of curiosity, what spots did you put down on your wish list?
I put down everything East Coast. I think Baltimore, Miami, and I think Philly. I can't remember. I know Rhode Island, maybe. No, I couldn't go back to Rhode Island. When I got on, they had just changed it where you can't go back if you were a cop to the division where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
That was upsetting for me. I would have went back to Boston. I already had the appointments everywhere, and from my from the narcotics days, I had my contacts in the police departments in the state. It would have been perfect,
Yeah. Well, don't expect anything.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. When you got to Miami, what group were you assigned?
Oh, I went to Miami. I landed in Group 6, the heroin group. They were doing the ICDs from down south. Great group. But
what's an ICD?
International Controlled Deliveries.
And you said no supervisor?
No supervisor at the time. He had just been. There was an issue with the previous case that they worked a long 2-year-long case. They worked the group, and there was some internal investigation going on. There was the GS was launched. We were in between GSs, supervisors, and I inherited that case, the nasty case. Right when I got to the group, they said, "Here you go, about 10 boxes is full of tapes and crap." So I got caught up quick on it, but the whole thing, it was a great case, like all the DEA cases. Wiretaps, dozens of arrests, hundreds of kilos gone, and all that stuff. But there was a case where they did a search warrant on a house. There was supposedly 10 kilos in there. They were in there, but they didn't find them. And then later on, they found out that they missed them. Where they missed them, they went back, and there was something. There was some issues with the missing 10 kilos. It was a messy case, if you will, but it was still in trial and all that. All the case agents got moved. They got moved in other divisions or promoted or left or whatever. So I ended up doing the whole freaking case. I was in court testifying to things that I haven't done, and just based on whatever evidence I could find in there. And the guy, the main target in that case was a Cuban guy. He was getting into cocaine and tile. to Ecuador. From Colombia, the tire from Ecuador, they ship the cocaine to Ecuador, stuff it into the containers, and bring it into Miami. That was the case. I remember well because I was in court. I got my taste of court down in Miami.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Yeah. There's nothing like it. Was the heroin, was it Asian, was it Colombian, or was it Mexican heroin?
Oh, Colombian heroin that we were dealing with. Colombian.
Wow.
Some
10 keys of Colombian heroin, that's quite a bit.
Yeah. One time we dealt with Mexican black tar heroin. Came from Seattle. That's only because one of our undercovers was in contact with 3 Mexicans up in Seattle, and they drove it all the way down to do the delivery in Miami.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
Anything for a buck, I guess, right?
Yeah.
One thing I read about you, John, is you speak multiple languages. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a curse, but yeah, I do.
What languages do you speak?
I speak French, I speak Arabic, and a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of English.
A little bit of English. Yeah, it's a good thing we're not doing this in Arabic or French.
Yeah.
Did you grow up speaking Arabic and French, or how did you learn those languages?
I learned them because my dad had a business in Lebanon, right? And
Okay.
my mom and dad decided to move over there, live there, and I was born there. So when I was born there, I ended up going to the French schools. Lebanon got its independence from France in 1945. So the school system remained, the French system, basically. The private schools, Catholic schools, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Or Maronite school, which is the same thing, like Catholic. And ended up growing through that system. You had to learn 3 languages minimum in those schools growing up.
Wow.
That's why most people coming out of Lebanon, from a certain part of Lebanon, can speak 3 languages at least.
That's pretty impressive.
It was not easy.
Yeah. At one point in your career, you ended up stationed in France with DEA, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure that French language capability didn't hurt you at all there, right?
No, I actually scored a 5.5, so I had to skip the school. Which, some people like to do the school for the break. You get a 6-month break while you learn the language. But I didn't. I was still doing I just took the test on the phone and maxed it out pretty much.
Wow.
So that was a plus for me. Yeah. That was.
Yeah, I went to that language school for 6 months to learn Spanish, and it comes out as hola, y'all.
Mm.
That accent never goes away. So from just real quickly, what were your postings through your DEA career, just so our listeners will know where all you've been?
So I came on in Boston, and then I was in Miami, and then I was promoted in Miami, and then I was in France, and then I was at SOD, the Special Operations Division, in Northern Virginia. And then I promoted again to headquarters in the Office of Domestic Operations. So that was another interesting part of my career. Yeah.
Yeah. And you retired out of headquarters?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, players, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 comes out, as always, on Tuesday. In the meantime, just a reminder that Game of Crimes is now posting interview videos on YouTube. You can find those at Game of Crimes Podcast. Our website is gameofcrimespodcast.com, where you'll find all our episodes, our guests, book lists, merchandise, and more. And for more content, join us on patreon.com/gameofcrimes. I have several monthly episodes that range from silly to serious, so come on over and join the fun. In the meantime, everyone stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow for part 2.